You know, I can relate the headphone jack to, I can relate it to a CD player. What's going on, my peeps? Your boy Versal is back with another video, back to talk about a specific subject. We're talking, I guess you could say, average consumers. You know, as some of y'all might have seen on Twitter, we got a nice little discussion going on about what the average consumer may actually have in their household after all. Sometimes we get confused with the average with the minority, when really the average is taking some from the minority, taking some from the majority, and if you mix them together, you get a nice overall balance of what people most likely have. Ever since the iPhone removed the headphone jack is when the average consumer more or less became the new standard, because a lot of people have iPhones. We know that they have sold billions of iPhones. So if you take billions of iPhones that are sold and you just take, you know, I don't want to say a fraction, but you take a good amount of those post iPhone 7 when the headphone jack was removed, people had to start setting their eyes, if they hadn't already, on getting a pair of Bluetooth headphones. Now that does not mean that they had to go get some expensive $200-300 pair of Bluetooth headphones. As a matter of fact, you can find Bluetooth headphones for like 50 bucks, 100 bucks, 150 bucks. And if we want to talk about quality, you had to do the same thing with wired headphones as well. Even if you were the average consumer still buying wired headphones, you want a quality pair, you still had to pay 100, 150, 200 bucks, 300 bucks, and so on for a pair of decently wired headphones. But when Apple removed the headphone jack is when people started setting their eyesights on Bluetooth headphones. If you walk down the street, there's a good chance that you're going to see somebody with an iPhone, and that there's a good chance you're gonna see some AirPods in their ears or some sort of wireless Bluetooth headset. You know what also helped push Bluetooth headsets? Bluetooth car technology. Believe it or not, that also helped influence people to really think about Bluetooth, because like in California, you can't really ride and hold your phone, right? You gotta have some earpiece. Oop, my bad. In California, you can't drive with your phone in your hand. You gotta have some type of Bluetooth headset, or it's gotta be connected to your car to talk via the people over the phone. That's just California, just one example, and that's a big state within the United States alone. So when you look at the average consumer, just in terms of that, there's a good chance, more or not, if you ask between 1 and 2 people, taking an average, one of them is gonna have a pair of Bluetooth headphones, and one of them most likely is gonna have an iPhone. That has nothing necessarily to do with iPhone being a dominant phone manufacturer per se. That's just what's the most popular phone. It has nothing to do with privilege, because anybody can get their hands on anything, whether it's via hookup, via debt, or they can afford it. So when you look at the average consumer, most people have, or the average person, I should say, has a pair of Bluetooth headphones, and they either have an iPhone or a Samsung device. Huawei just recently bumped up to number 3 in terms of, or number 2 in terms of being one of in terms of the top smartphone manufacturers. I got 2 articles linked down below. One that shows them being 3rd, and that was like as of February 2019, and then maybe more as of recently from TheVerge.com saying Huawei just overtook Apple. But that's probably going to be short-lived because of what's going on with Huawei right now in terms of the ban, the security risks, and all that type of stuff. People starting to draw away from Huawei, people trying to sell their phones. And Huawei's not here in the United States, which is another big smartphone market. So your average consumer actually doesn't even have a Huawei phone. So to even use Huawei as an argument for, I don't know what the point that was, makes no sense, because the typical user doesn't even have a Huawei phone, whether that's Huawei or Honor. You know, the Mate series, the P series, it doesn't matter. The average consumer, at least here anyway, in the United States, doesn't have that phone. Now in India and China and Korea, there's a possibility that they may have a Huawei phone, but there's a great chance that they probably have a Samsung phone because Samsung is right up there at number one. So again, when you think about the average consumer is also not stupid. So us in the tech community as tech enthusiasts, sometimes we like to play the average consumer in regards to, you know, how smart they really are. Can they hook up the Bluetooth is very, very, very easy, right? You go on your settings, go to Bluetooth for connections, or you hold the Bluetooth button, you know what I'm saying? Most people know how to work a smartphone. Smartphones have been around since 2011, 2012. Most people know how to work a smartphone and do something very basic in regards to hooking up the Bluetooth. Of course, there's always those that don't and whatnot, but generally speaking, the average person knows how to hook up Bluetooth because they have their Bluetooth hooked up in their cars. So to say and argue about, oh, Samsung's getting rid of the headphone jack and all these companies getting the headphone jack has been disappearing for a while. You know, I can relate the headphone jack to, I can relate it to a CD player. You're not gonna have a CD player anymore. As much as people still try to sell CDs at the store, artists try to sell CDs but over their music, artists have also gotten a lot smarter and may even forego selling CDs and go straight to streaming and digital copies. And that's where a lot of them chart in terms of Billboard and all that type of stuff. It's not even based off of primarily CD sales anymore because a lot of people don't buy CDs anymore. Therefore, you're not gonna really see too many people have a CD player. Yes, cars may still have it, but no one's going to buy a CD player anymore. The CD player now is what the headphone jack is becoming, obsolete, because Bluetooth is a big deal, and companies likewise are selling their own Bluetooth products, such as Galaxy Buds, AirPods, AirDots, right? Teotronics, or however you pronounce that company's name. Check out El Jefe Reviews. Jeff reviews a ton of Bluetooth headsets that are cheap, that a lot of people talk about and or buy. So you're talking about the average consumer does have a pair of Bluetooth headphones. That's just what it is. You know, you can try to argue about, you know, in the hood and whatnot. That's the minority, all right? The minority is this, right? If you look at this, the minority is like this. The average is half of the people, right? And then you got the majority or the full amount, right? So you have to keep that in mind when you think about the average consumer, because again, you can go into a restaurant of your choice, McDonald's, you can go to a higher scale restaurant, Cheesecake Factory, and if you go in there, there's a very, very good chance that most of the people that you're gonna be surrounded by either have a pair of AirPods or have a wireless headset. If it's the workers, and most likely they're gonna have an iPhone or a Samsung device. That's the average consumer. The average consumer, you don't even have to necessarily break down the numbers. The average consumer could just be in terms of eyesight, in terms of what the eye test would tell you. Now, funny enough, after having this great conversation on Twitter, I walked down the street, down work, and I passed by like 3 to 4 people that had wired headsets. It was hilarious. I was like, ooh. But then it was kind of made up later because on my way out of my work building, a ton of people had wireless headsets. And it doesn't really matter about where I work at because there's old people that have old phones, but they got Bluetooth headset. Some jobs require you to wear wireless headsets if you want to wear a headset. So most people have invested in getting a Bluetooth headset. And it's usually like a wired pair of wireless headset. But nonetheless, when it comes to the headphone jack, we gotta let it go. We gotta let it go. And I think most people have. The only ones, again, who righteously complain about the headphone jack is us tech enthusiasts. We do a ton of complaining about little stuff that really the average consumer is not even bothered by or worried about, or it doesn't ruin their day, but we'll turn around and blow up Twitter and blow up comment sections because the headphone jack is missing. Shoot, people try to hold it against this beautiful OnePlus 7 Pro here that no more headphone jack, and they got their bullets that they're likewise selling and advertising to make up for that. But that's if you want to buy them, they're $100. But again, you don't have to spend a lot of money on Bluetooth headphones. But that's my take on not just the average consumer, but the headphone jack, and why we as tech enthusiasts got to calm that noise down, because inevitably it's going to be gone anyway. And if there's not other people really complaining about the headphone jack, that all the complaints about the headphone jack happened that first year when Apple got rid of it. Since then, people's gotten used to it. It's become the norm. Likewise, Apple's doubled their AirPods shipments this year and whatnot, from like 14 million, like 26 million. So again, we have to take ourselves and our little small community sometimes out of the box per se, and look at the overall scale. Yeah, we run into people all the time that may not have it, but that doesn't make them the majority. That's more or less the minority. It is what it is. And especially when you talk about the tech community, a ton of us have Bluetooth headphones. But that's your boy Versatile, signing out. Hope you guys appreciate the video. And until the next video, hooga, 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 hooga. Wait for it.